The chapter begins with Loki lying on the ground, covered in blood. Struggling to speak, he looks at Shamrock and says, "You are the spitting image of red-haired Shanks. Did you really think I would just write that off as a coincidence?" Meanwhile, as Shamrock and Gunko are leaving, Shamrock glances back at Loki. Gunko, noticing this, says coldly, "Mind your business. That matter has nothing to do with you." Loki, still bleeding out, chuckles weakly and responds, "You're not wrong, but a great pirate and a celestial dragon. Those two are polar opposites. You can't blame me for being curious. Anyone would find it strange that you two share the same face." Shamrock finally breaks his silence. "The pirate you're referring to is my younger twin brother, but he went astray. At one point, he even returned to the Holy Land, but it seems he grew too attached to the filthy world of the surface." Returning to the present, Loki is stunned. "He returned? I see. Ha. It's funny how I ended up hating both of you brothers. And here I thought my grudge couldn't get any worse. What a family. You fools." With a smirk, he continues, "When I get out of these chains, you know what I'll do, right? I'll make it my mission to make sure my comrades are well." But as he looks around, his eyes widen in horror. All the animals that had come to love and protect Loki are now lying dead. Blood soaks the ground around them. It is revealed that Gunko had mercilessly slain them using his arrow devil fruit, which grants him lethal, pinpoint-accurate archery abilities. Shamrock turns back slightly and mutters, "Was that supposed to be a threat?" Gunko tries to stop him, sensing what's about to happen, but Shamrock draws his sword. "I know, he isn't even worth dirtying my hands over," Shamrock says dismissively. But then, suddenly, something terrifying happens. From Shamrock's sword, 3 monstrous wolves begin to emerge. Their piercing eyes gleam with an ominous light. Loki watches in shock. "What the hell is that?" Shamrock utters a single word, "Cerberus." At that moment, 3 massive wolves fully materialize from Shamrock's blade. But they are not ordinary wolves. They are Cerberus, the 3-headed guardian of the underworld. Each of the 3 wolves wields a sword in its jaws, exuding a menacing aura. Loki, now terrified, stammers, "What is this creepy thing?" Shamrock, unfazed, responds coolly, "It's my biting blade." As the dust settles, Gunko creates a flying creature using his arrow devil fruit and says, "Captain, let's clean up here and move on." Meanwhile, Shamrock dismisses Cerberus, and the 3 wolves detach from his sword, returning to their original, independent forms. Now they stand in front of Loki, their piercing eyes locked onto him. As Shamrock turns to leave, he glances back at Loki one last time. "Feel free to hunt me down any time," he says. "I'll face you then, assuming you survive this." With that, Shamrock and Gunko depart, their figures vanishing into the shadows. At that very moment, the Cerberus wolves lunge at Loki, sinking their fangs directly into his chest. Blood splatters across the ground as he lets out a strained gasp. Loki, despite his agony, remains standing. He has already endured so much. First Gunko's attack, then Luffy's confrontation earlier, and now Cerberus tearing into him. But something within him refuses to break. Meanwhile, as Shamrock and Gunko continue their path forward, Shamrock turns to Gunko and speaks in a low, decisive voice. "Corpse subjugation isn't feasible now. Let's start by taking their children hostage. We'll need an extra hand." Gunko nods. "Understood. Who shall I call?" The implication is clear. They are about to summon a 3rd member of the Holy Knights. Back at the castle, Luffy is growing more and more frustrated. His voice echoes through the hall. "I'm telling you, that wasn't him. You're lying. Shanks would never attack for no reason." The giant guards, who were previously knocked out by Shamrock, have regained consciousness. One of them speaks up, his tone resolute. "It's the truth. I saw him with my own eyes. He has visited Elbaf many times. I recognized him." Luffy clenches his fists, his face twisted in disbelief. "But I know Shanks. He's a super cool guy. Maybe it was just someone who looked like him." As the discussion unfolds, another knight speaks up, his voice filled with unease. "It was shocking. We were wondering what he was doing in the castle." Zoro, arms crossed, raises an eyebrow. "He just left Elbaf recently, right? Wouldn't it be weird for him to come right back just to sneak around?" Luffy, still unconvinced, shakes his head. "Even if you're telling the truth, there's no way it could be Shanks. He's always calm and laid back. Him doing something like this just doesn't add up." Hearing this, Nami smiles. "You really have faith in him." Luffy clenches his fists, his frustration growing. "You bet, Nami! It would tick you off just as much if someone bad-mouthed Calamari." Nami chuckles and corrects him. "You mean Belmer's San?" At that moment, one of the giant warriors speaks up. So it was a look-alike, or maybe Shanks has a brother. Luffy pauses, deep in thought. Shanks' brother? Well, if he has one, he'd probably be a nice guy too. But honestly, he never talked about his family. I heard he was raised on a pirate ship from when he was little. I always figured Roger and Rayleigh were his real family, the whole crew, except for Buggy. Luffy's expression softens for a moment, reminiscing about his idol's past. Suddenly, the scene shifts. We see a mysterious figure walking through a dark corridor, approaching Loki's location. What's shocking is that this panel appears exactly as Luffy is talking about Roger's family, suggesting a deeper connection. Could this mysterious man be Skopper Gaben, Roger's left-hand man? The scene shifts to Frankie's group, who are near the legendary treasure tree Adam. Frankie gazes in awe at the towering tree, its massive trunk stretching endlessly into the sky. Unbelievable! Adam wood, as far as the eye can see, and here I thought it was supposed to be rare. He bursts into laughter. Wow, I had no idea it was this valuable overseas. A giant girl standing nearby catches Frankie in her massive hands and grins. Maybe I should start selling some of this on the side, she jokes. Frankie smirks and looks at her. Were you sent here to keep an eye on me? He mimics Saul's deep, commanding voice mockingly. It's a sacred tree, bucko. Don't go cutting it down, now you hear? The giant girl laughs heartily. You sound just like him. Frankie crosses his arms and sighs. Still, I guess stealing from under the noses of giants is a tall order. He glances around, his eyes scanning the vast forest of Adam wood. Nobody had ever explained it like this before. Then, suddenly, Frankie spots something unusual. His eyes widen. Wait, what is that? He steps forward and sees a massive ancient mural carved into the bark of the tree. The giant girl looks at it and shrugs. Oh, that? It's a griffin from eons ago. Some kids probably etched it into the bark, and over time it got fossilized. Her tone shifts slightly as she continues. But now, it doesn't matter. That culture has long disappeared. Still, thanks to its enormous historical value, we preserve it. Frankie raises an eyebrow. You're telling me some punk's doodle is actually a big deal? The giant girl nods. It's said to date back somewhere between 800 to 900 years ago. Frankie freezes. Wait, if that's true, then... The girl nods again, her voice more serious. Then that would place it right in the middle of the Void Century. Frankie's eyes widen in shock. Whoa! If that's the case, then I need to show Robin. She'd be thrilled to see this. Frankie looks closely at the mural, tilting his head in confusion. Hey, ain't this drawing kinda odd for old Elbaf? Not all the figures look like giants. The giant girl responds thoughtfully. Quite true. As far as we know, there were definitely times when the races of the world clashed. But this level of cooperation, it's unheard of. That's why I think it was probably just some kid's dream. The scene shifts to the old library, where we see Robin, standing among towering bookshelves filled with ancient texts. She scans the books, murmuring to herself, So, this is the Harley? A giant scholar standing nearby named Isha smiles. This beautiful town preserves many of Elbaf's rich myths and legends. These stories have sparked countless interpretations throughout history. He laughs heartily. That's why the warriors of Elbaf believe in a very different version of the sun god. Ain't that the funniest thing you ever heard? Robin remains calm, intrigued by the idea. May I read it? A familiar voice responds from behind her. Saul, arms crossed, nods. Of course. But listen closely, Robin. The narrative is split into 3 distinct sections. Robin turns the ancient pages as Saul continues. It is said that the third world refers to the present day, meaning it's a type of prophecy. Robin's fingers pause on the fragile parchment. Saul exhales, his voice lowering. Mind you, legends of Nika have spread silently all over the world. The one thing they all have in common is that he appeared with a booming laugh, keeping this rhythm. Suddenly, Saul claps his hands to a beat, softly singing a familiar tune. Robin listens, her eyes widening slightly. She smiles. I'll read aloud then. She begins reading from the ancient text. The scene shifts back to Frankie, who is staring at the mural, now fully visible. The carvings tell a deeper story, one that ties directly to Robin's reading. For the first time, we see the true message hidden within the mural. Robin's voice continues narrating from the book, as the camera zooms in on the first word inscribed on the page. The earth is engulfed in flame, and the hearts of men burn with desire. They reach for the forbidden star. From whispered prayers, the sun god rose, beckoned by the enslaved. The god of the land was enraged. With a serpent of fire, they cast the world into ruin. Darkness fell, death reigned, They would not meet again. Then we see text of second world. A breath stirred in the abyss. The god of the forest summoned its devils, while the sun lit the embers of war. Those of the half and full moons dreamed, yet the ones who slew the sun deified themselves, evoking the wrath of the sea god. They would not meet again. Then we see text of third world. Chaos reigns. The world drifts in a void, yet time does not erase the memory of the promised day. Its shadow looms as the voice of the half-moon echoes through the ages, and once more, the sun god shall rise, laughing, dancing, guiding the world to its final act. The sun is reborn. A new dawn will break. Surely this time, they will meet. If we closely examine the mural alongside the first world text, we can see a deep connection to the ancient world. On the right side of the mural, a massive sacred tree stands tall, possibly representing the ancient world. Below it, the presence of slaves suggests a connection to the 20 kingdoms that later formed the world government. These figures holding suns in their hands might symbolize the mother flame, a powerful energy source with historical significance. Moving forward, we see Zunesha carrying a king-like figure, which could indicate that Zunesha's great sin was abandoning Joy Boy. The king on his back might even refer to Imu, or a similar ruler from that era. Above this, we see the Arc Maxim, which appears to be heading toward the moon, accompanied by a serpent-like figure. This could symbolize an attempt to reach the moon, possibly linking to Enel's theories. However, two monstrous beings seem to be destroying a ship attempting this journey, which may suggest a war against the gods before Joy Boy's time. Shifting to the left side of the mural, a giant figure is visible, likely representing Imu. There is also a ship carrying 3 to 5 people, which could symbolize the Gorosei, elders. At the center of the mural, Nika stands surrounded by an army that consists of Lunarians, ancient robots, a giant resembling Loki, the Kuja warriors, samurai, Poseidon and the fishmen, Minks, and the Tontata tribe. This image strongly suggests that Nika, along with warriors from various races, united against Imu, portraying the final war of Joy Boy's era and reflecting the Second World text. It is a powerful visual representation of the struggle between those who sought freedom and those who ruled the world. Unlike the first and second worlds, the third world does not appear in the mural. Instead, it serves as a prophecy, predicting the return of the sun and the rise of a new god. This could very well foreshadow Luffy's battle against Imu, ensuring that this time, they will meet again. The mural itself is nothing short of breathtaking, packed with hidden details and hints toward the true history of the world. Everything about it is masterfully crafted, perfectly aligning with the mysteries of the Void Century and the future battles yet to unfold. With that, our video comes to an end. If you'd like me to cover the next chapters, spoilers, and deeper One Piece theories, let me know in the comments. I'll continue to break down every detail for you. Until next time, keep sailing forward.